Let's get another voice into this conversation. Roland Martin, host and managing editor of NewsOne Now, and MSNBC contributor Katy Tur, former deputy campaign manager for the 2012 Romney campaign. You guys have both been sitting by patiently. Roland, I want to ask you about an exchange that we saw a little bit earlier between Donald Trump and April Ryan. April Ryan was asking him about diversity and the inner cities, and whether he was going to meet with the CBC. He asked who? And then she explained the Congressional Black Caucus. And then he said, sure, if you can set that up for me. He's asking a reporter to set up a meeting between him and congressmen?
That's where you come up with the phrase stuck on stupid. This is the same guy who earlier saw Congressman Elijah Cummings on Morning Joe and then called him later in the day. Hey, sir, Cummings is a member of the CBC. So why don't you call Cummings to actually set it up? Also, the chairman of the CBC is Cedric Richmond from New Orleans, and so I'm sure he would appreciate the phone call. What's hilarious is the Congressional Black Caucus also is the largest caucus in the Democratic caucus. Here's the real deal with this whole news conference, and I think, Katy, you really said it earlier, and Malcolm X said this, you've been bamboozled, hoodwinked, led astray, run amok. This whole news conference was to get us to focus on his attacks on media. To Hallie's point, she's absolutely right. His side, they love the attacks on media. What media should not do is chase this rabbit hole. We don't need to defend ourselves. We don't need to flog ourselves. What we should do is simply just brush off our shoulders, just like this, and then go, okay, back to Mike Flynn. That's what he wanted today. And so he threw out all kind of stuff, hoping something sticks, because he wants us fighting amongst ourselves. It's not going to happen, President Trump. We're going to focus on Russia.
Let's focus on Russia. Let's focus on Mike Flynn. Katy Tur, what are Republicans saying behind the scenes?
Well, I think that there's a sense that this is something that President Trump needs. He needs to be out there and attacking the media. It's something that makes him feel very empowered. It makes him feel good. It makes him feel like he's speaking to the people that elected him and who still support him very strongly. It's the same reason that he's going out to do a rally this weekend, because he needs that response from the public. But there is frustration among Republicans who feel like at some point we can't just keep relitigating the campaign that our party won. At some point, he needs to govern. And this kind of behavior does not lend itself to, one, bringing the country together. It is a very divided country. And while there might be some very hardened liberal Democrats that could never get behind this president, there are a lot of people that sort of have the attitude that he's been elected, and so let's come together. But they're not feeling a sense of outreach from the White House and from this president. And there is some frustration that it's making it difficult for folks on Capitol Hill to do their job, to actually execute an agenda that the president seems to, convey that he wants to execute. And so at some point he has to just sort of dial it down and focus on the day-to-day governing of this country, which feels very, very shaky at this moment.
He's not going to do it, because this is simply not who he is. He likes the fight. That is who he is. And so we keep somehow thinking conventional wisdom is going to happen. Somehow the presidential attitude is going to descend upon him. It's not going to happen. Accept who he is. He's a 70-year-old cantankerous dude who sits around, watches TV, and tweets all day on a phone that is not secure. That's who Donald Trump is.
The danger in this is that even the American public at some point, I think, will grow tired of the ranting and the attacking, and the public will say, at what point are we actually going to start leading the country and governing? And that's the point at which the White House is going to be in real crisis.
We will see, guys. And with that, it's always good to remind everyone it's only been 25 days. That's it.